Well, good afternoon, currency traders. It's Joe with you here on the 27th of June into a Thursday. Going to end the week here tomorrow. Let's break down some of the stuff that's going on. You guys know the drill. Take responsibility for the outcome. I'm going to break down the meaningful news of the day. Let's take a look at the markets technically, if anything's changed, and let's share trades with the community.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
As we move into the market analysis, we didn't get too much from what we got yesterday. A little bit, more of like a reaction in some of these charts that have been overextended or pulling back. But once again, folks, it's this up-down that's creating a bunch of sideways. So U.S. markets remain flat so far this week. We haven't really seen too much in the equity markets, let alone the currency markets, since that U.S. CPI. We've had some overseas announcements since then. We are going to be super light economic-wise for what's left this week. Not much to discuss. We do have the PCE number. I'll make mention of that one more time. That is on Friday. But if there's anything out there yelling summer, it has been this week. So yeah, summers do happen, and this is kind of how it works. Is that what I'm going to chalk it up to? I guess. I don't know. There's just not much going on. So what did move today? Well, we got the franc, we got the euro, the pound. That's it. Other than that, we had that pretty much flat day that Rob talked about yesterday. Now, the franc, the euro, and the pound, I mean, this is still 0.21%, 0.15%. And I'm going to pull these charts up just so you guys can see how insignificant these moves are in the whole. So not much to go off of that. The S&P was at 0.00, and then at that last little bit, it put in that 0.9%. So flat completely. Crypto, on the other hand, 2.10%. Oh gosh, crypto's great. It's amazing. It's not. I'll show you the currencies here in a minute. They put in a whole bunch of numbers percentage-wise, but guess what they did yesterday? A whole bunch of numbers down percentage-wise. I've got back forth that seemed to go nowhere. Gold and oil up as well. Now, oil does have something kind of interesting that I'm going to keep my eye on, but it still has to establish a pattern before we can trade it. Let's take a look at those cryptos. 3.58% at Bitcoin Cash there. Oh, it's amazing. It's not. It's just right back up to pretty much put back on the 3.58% it lost yesterday. Okay, maybe not exactly, but it's just this push-pull that seems to be super volatile and ends up going nowhere. Overall, folks, Bitcoin as a collective is a little bit more bearish. We do have it on the negative one side. I could argue that is negative two. It's got a pretty good descending triangle pattern going on if you're looking at the daily. So let's get to it. Everything is still sloping higher, above the 20, above the 50. We are still at that +3 outlook, but we are absolutely in that consolidation range. And yes, we are such a broken record here, so here it comes again. This is the consolidation that we're talking about. Very similar to the consolidation that we had previous, a little wider, but it does take some sort of a catalyst to get us out of this. This was a CPI, a US CPI number coming in cooler for the first time in a long time, and then followed by a bunch of other data that showed that inflation is actually curbing. It's not gone, but it's showing signs of slowing. So here we are up in this consolidation area. Where do we go here from now? Well, we'll find out. I think we might need some sort of stimulant or some sort of a catalyst to get us outside of that. Until then, we're basically just going to spin our wheels. So what's left on the docket? Well, let's just go straight to it. It's this PCE number here coming out tomorrow. Forecast is for just basically in line, nothing flat, but a decrease from previous, showing that the overall core inflation is on hand. Now, if that number comes in exactly what's expected, then we'll see if these markets, I don't know if their markets are going to celebrate it or just kind of continue to meander. So we'll see where we go from there. But that's it. I mean, that's all we got. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal since the expectations are for a rate cut here, either in July or towards the end of the year, and then maybe one in 2025. No change there at all. So let's just go ahead and jump into our currencies here and just take a look at them. I'm not seeing a lot. I haven't changed this from yesterday. A day doesn't really change much, but it can sometimes. We did see a little bit of a bounce in the CAD. I'll go ahead and show you that. It's just kind of since that those CPI numbers, the consumer price index numbers came in hot. This thing's been floating higher ever since, but it's not putting it anywhere into a tradable pattern. The other two that were strong today was the euro and the pound, excuse me. They at least showed some gains, but you'll see in their overall charts, they don't go nowhere. And then Bitcoin, I'm going to combine all of these guys. Look how they're all in a -1. You could make an argument that they are actually weaker than that. I'll show you the descending triangle I'm talking about. But I do really not have a trade to look at. If I pair the weakest with the strongest, I've got the US paired with the yen and the Aussie paired with the yen. They look great, but these charts are overextended. It's almost in a situation where if we didn't trade them a couple of weeks ago, we're just chasing at this point, and there's no reason to chase. Might as well just sit back, keep your powder dry, and let's wait for opportunity or some corrective action. So let's jump in real quick and take a look at those trades. As we move into our chart here, let's get going with, I said oil. We'll start there because I don't want to forget to take a look at this. But what I liked about this on the daily is it really hasn't done much as far as a tradable pattern, but it has had a really good comeback above most moving averages. And if it could sustain this base, this is a daily chart, folks. This is something that I'm going to be looking at over subsequent weeks. I want to see what the Fed does if we do indeed cut rates and when and how that happens. But oil itself looks poised to be maybe basing and do something. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. I don't think it's going to be super strong or anything, but if it can sustain sideways, this could be maybe a trade where this could actually float higher, especially if we start to see some weakness in some of those overall markets. Let's take a look at the ones that did move today. We'll start with the pound since it's right here. So this is that pound. It was up today, and that's all we got. It's just an inside day from the previous. This gives us no more traction than we had yesterday. It is still a zero. It is still flat. Let's take a look at the euro that had a little bit of a pop-up, and it's in the midst of still its bear rally. You'll say the franc is going to be very similar to this, but I do like how it is approaching actually a resistance point up in this area, giving me the idea that, hey, we could see a little bit of a hesitation at this point. We still have to wait for this to reverse and roll over, and then we could see the euro maybe get a little bit lower, and we could start to move it down the line into the 0, -1, things like that, and find something stronger to pair it with. But it is early yet. It is just a bounce, which is why it was a little bit up today. And then the last one was the franc. And the franc is in its sort of a pullback here. I did like this because it was a pretty good move to the upside. It's pulling back. I wanted to see a pivot point yesterday. I like to see it still could pivot at this 20-day moving average. I just have to be patient with it. So right now it's just in the neutral land, and I don't want to do anything with it. So you can see there's a couple of currencies out there that if they play themselves out and create more of a tradable pattern and they get weaker, and in this case stronger, then we could start to pair them together to take advantage of some pretty good trades. But right now, we're just early yet. Last one, let's just jump to, I'll do all the coins themselves. So let me zoom out a little bit on this because this is kind of the pattern I'm looking at. It's this descending triangle pattern, and it's been kind of moving down quite a bit. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let me zoom back in because you take a look at, the percentages are huge for currencies from day to day, but look what they've done. Very large percentage down, very large up, a little bit down, and then a little bit up today. And these last 4 days, they haven't done anything. So there's really not much there to look at. So I'm not changing my outlook, folks. I'm not going to change what I'm focused on. I'm primarily just trying to look at opportunities or emergence of weakness and strength. So let's just jump back and do a quick conclusion. Flat week so far in the U.S. equities. That could change. I believe we're going to need a catalyst to get outside of that range. But it is definitely looking more optimistic than pessimistic. Don't make trades that aren't there. It's super difficult to sit on your hands sometimes, folks. We are active traders, especially in the currencies market. It's so easy to just get that 4-hour chart and then break it down to 1 hour and then go to a 15-minute. And yeah, any 15-minute, you could probably find something to trade. But let's not go there. Let's just make sure that we take our time, correlate, and put the strongest with the weakest and make sure that we do have that probability and that opportunity. PCE due out tomorrow. I don't think it's going to do much. If it comes in line, it's going to be a snooze fest. It could be. Unless it comes out very, very, very unexpected, which I'm not expecting. So I expect more of the same going into the weekend. Now, folks, this next week goes into the 4th of July, U.S. holiday. It is on a Thursday this year. We are deep into the summer. I would be very surprised if we get anything outside of just boring up until that holiday. And I don't know if we're going to, personally, I'm not going to be around. So it's one of these things, folks. If you need a vacation, now's the time to take it. You're not hurt. You're not missing out on anything. Play relative strength and weakness and proper position sizing as always, folks. Talk to you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye, everybody.